Hello, PerfBytes listeners. It's your old friend Satan here. It is with great esteem that I'm proud to introduce this week's edition of The News of the Damned.
Can you dig it?
And there he is screaming, everybody. Welcome to News of the Damned for January 7th, 2014. This is Mark Tomlinson, the PerfBytes host and co-host with my friend James Pulley. James, how are you?
As you can tell, I have a little bit of a frog in my throat, so I guess I'm doing okay otherwise, Mark.
Yes, is it a evil frog from Satan?
Why, yes it is.
Why, yes it is. What do you got? Who's crashing this week, my friend?
Well, I tell you, Mark, we're only going to take a look at a couple of stories this week. We're going to revisit Meijer, who crashed on Boxing Day, and we have something really, really interesting, and I couldn't stop laughing as I was watching it or reading about it, is Bill Nye is going to be debating evolution at the Creation Museum.
Yes.
And tickets to this event sold out, and the Creation website crashed.
Oh, really?
So those are kind of our two stories for this week.
Exactly. So Meijer's, we just talked about Meijer's on our New Year's News of the Damned, the last episode. So bring us up to speed. They had a Boxing Day event, and there were some like coupons. People could come back and do purchasing. So it's a whole celebration. But there's a lot more to the story here.
Yeah. Well, evidently, it didn't recover right away.
Okay.
It just kept going on and on and on. So you're looking here now not at a one-day, flooding event, but you're looking at an opportunity cost for Meijer for all of these individuals who maybe got cash for the holidays or got a gift card, like a Visa gift card or something of that nature that they could spend, that now that money has gone elsewhere.
Right.
And it looks like, as you might expect would happen, is that there's some finger pointing going on.
Sure.
And Mark, have you heard who's involved?
This is an interesting one because I think there's a lot going on here. One, the vendors, like you point out, I think it's IBM and who else?
I think Oracle is involved as well.
And they're very out about the fact that, they're engineers. So this is a reaction from some of the largest vendors in technology to be much more like an open source kind of sharing what happened kind of thing, which may be a lesson learned from Target and the security stuff, that we need to be more transparent about this stuff. I don't know.
If that's the case, and we're going for lessons learned, and we have a lot of large major website crashes that have happened recently where, let's face it, they've kind of put up walls and fences and not spoken a whole lot about what's been happening behind the scenes.
Right.
Maybe this was an exact opposite play to try and diffuse the situation.
Could be. Yeah, exactly. The other thing I'll say is that here's a bizarre behavior where maybe somebody did something to try to bring the site back up, and it was the exact wrong thing to do. And it's now they've tried to undo something, and they maybe changed data, or somebody that overreacted to bringing a site up after it's been through an outage. It may not just be load related. I mean, they have in the panic mode, we all make mistakes. So maybe they're undoing some real damage here.
It could be. It could be. We're kind of guessing. We do know the major parties involved.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that it was not just a one-day event, that it just went on and on and on. And I can't imagine what this is going to look like to Meijer shareholders for Q4 or even a little bit of Q1.
Yeah, and one might actually say that sort of the ongoing debacle from Henry Chow, our Person of the Year 2013 for healthcare.gov, that's something that just goes on and on and on and on. So, maybe the whole 5 nines, people are just giving up on it. I don't know. They should fix this stuff. They got the number one vendors working with them. Come on.
Well,
call Alex Padelko. He'll fix everything.
That's true. He works for Oracle now.
All right.
So next up, now, Mark, I sent you an email on this morning. And, we've been kind of laughing about it. So we have the Creation Museum's website has gone down. So I guess there's a large amount of interest over this debate between Bill Nye, the science guy and the founder of the Creation Museum in Kentucky, on the subject of evolution.
Yes.
And so a lot of people have gone to the Creation Museum's website, and it's gone down. And given the topic of evolution, there's some things that just have to be said. Really, this website had not evolved to adapt to its environment conditions as it now exists in the market. And if it does not evolve in any way, shape, or form, quite frankly, it's going to die.
There's also potentially there was no other species to dominate in the evolutionary cycle the environment, so that it wasn't like another ticket vendor could come in and take tickets to Bill Nye. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no no other competing species for the natural resources, which are the demand for tickets to the Creation Museum. But I would say it begs a whole other question, which is, was the website immaculately compiled? Right?
I can't answer that question, Mark. You know, if all I know is that in the market, I can't speak for biological methods.
Sure, of course.
But, in the market, if your website does not evolve to meet market conditions, you can't just create, and it's like, boom, website. It's going to be that way forever. It's been that way forever.
You bring up a good point, because if you think about sort of traditional testing, and you'll pass a unit test, then a functional test, and then maybe an integration test, and then maybe you'll get into doing stress testing and performance testing and security testing and this other stuff. So one might actually say that there is an inherent evolutionary model from the creation of the code that existed, which means these guys didn't create the perfect code in the first place. Which begs a whole question: which came first, the code?
I'm not.
You're
I'm
right.
not
The
going
website.
There. No. By the way, it was the chicken.
Was it? I thought it was the chicken.
Chicken, egg, chicken. Yeah.
I'm good with an omelet. But so these guys. So again, Bill Nye. This is it's a kind of an obscure thing, but it's incredibly popular from a news topic thing. The Creation Museum here in the States. And Bill Nye, being a science guy, the sparks fly. You get somebody in science and creation, and there's an age-old battle here in the States over that in the education system. So,
Mark, even in the state right next door to the Creation Museum, the state of Tennessee is where we had the famous what was termed the Scopes monkey trial.
That's right.
Back in, I think it was the 1920s, you had William Jennings Bryant and Clarence Darrow. I mean, two scions in the court going after each other on this topic of, was evolution taught in the schools by this gentleman named Scopes, and so I mean that whole area, Tennessee, Kentucky, seems to be just kind of a hotbed for this type of debate ongoing. And there are all sorts of issues that come into play: religions, modernists versus fundamentalists, and Bobbists and Rayists and all this other stuff too.
Yes, and the database analysts, always gets involved, right? And everyone, whether you're a Darwinist, evolutionary, whether you're a total atheist or creationist, let's get one thing clear. Everyone blames the network.
That damn network.
Exactly. Speaking of Scopes, I thought it might be interesting if you actually gave a primate animal enough time sitting in front of the keyboard, could they eventually type the right keys to create a website that would stay up?
No, but I have been told they will eventually create the collected works of Shakespeare.
Which is a damned insult to Shakespeare. All right, James, that's the end of News of the Damned for January 7th. Stay tuned for the next News of the Damned. James, thanks very much. Congratulations to the two companies on the News of the Damned this week, Meyer, and congratulations to Bill Nye for crashing the Creation Museum's website.
Thank you to our sponsors, Flood.io and Nuco. Stay tuned for the next episode of News of the Damned.
Ha 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 ha!